This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
All right, hello and welcome back to another show of Retirement Keys with me, Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group, and our fabulous co-host, Mr. Tony Shore. Tony, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Well, it's great to be here, Anthony, and I'm really excited about the show today because it's very important. This is a huge, hot topic you're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, I wanted to let you know I have had a crazy busy week. My wife was out of town for her job, so I've been manning the Shore house, and I had 3 sick kids. You know, the flu bug is going around. So I've been, between that and work, I've been busy. How about you? I know you've been meeting with people.
We have. It's been a busy week, and with the Secure Act, you know, with all the changes that are taking place with IRAs and IRA planning, of course, a lot of questions are coming into the office, and we started holding some workshops, and I think that's what we'll be talking about today. So I think it's a good topic. But yeah, it's been busy here at the office, and of course, it's been great at home, dealing with the family. I know we have this is Super Bowl Sunday, so we are excited about the game tonight. We wish our beloved Saints would be in, but nevertheless, it's going to be a great fun time. We'll be, I think, boiling some crawfish later on and watching the game. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, a little crawfish boil for the big game. That sounds like...
you probably don't know anything about that, huh, Tony?
I know about it. Oh, yeah. You know when it comes to food.
You know about boiling crawfish and...
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you bet. So in today's episode, you mentioned we're going to look at all the changes to some of the rules for our investments and retirement accounts. And, you know, I think it's funny, Anthony, that the government really had to stretch. It was quite a stretch to come up with an acronym that spelled out SECURE. It's called the SECURE Act, but SECURE stands for Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement.
Boy, that's a long one, huh?
Yeah, and it was signed into law just in December, so it's just now taking effect.
Right.
And it feels like some changes to IRAs. It feels like a topic that could really impact a lot of our listeners.
Oh, absolutely. It certainly can. In fact, there are several different changes in this law. So we have several different resources today, including the act itself from the House Ways and Means Committee. This document highlights some of the changes that could impact how some individual retirement accounts are used. So we have several resources, Tony, in that regard, and getting the information out and making sure people really understand not only what the changes are, but how they will affect them and their families is really important.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I know there's a lot to cover here, but what do you think the most important items are in the new law?
Well, in my opinion, one of the bigger changes that will impact many people is a change in their age that they need to start taking RMDs, or required minimum distributions, from their IRA. That age is changing from 70 and a half, as probably most of you know, to age 72. So this reflects the reality that people are simply living longer and have more time in retirement. So that is one of the bigger changes, that the required minimum distribution age has now been pushed back to 72. Another thing that I think will impact fewer people, but will have a greater effect on those it does impact, is the changes to how IRAs are treated after the account holder dies. Under current rules, many individuals use IRAs as a part of their estate plan. At July 2019, Barron's article talked about the Stretch IRA is about to snap under the Secure Act. Well, people, stretching their IRA was a big part of many families' estate plans. Well, anyway, in the article, it explains how IRAs can be used for estate planning. Investors can bequeath their IRA to heirs like grandchildren, providing potential tax benefits to those heirs. Using the Stretch IRA concept, a beneficiary of an IRA could stretch out those required minimum distributions, or RMDs, based on their life expectancy. So then the younger the beneficiary, the less that person would need to withdraw, because it would be based on their life expectancy, right? So, which potentially both reduces the beneficiary's tax liability and allowed the money to still grow and sit in the account and grow tax deferred inside the IRA. So your non-spouse beneficiaries, like your kids and your grandkids, could also inherit the IRA under the previous law and stretch that money over their life expectancy, which was really a tremendous planning tool for IRAs.
Well, yeah, and so these Stretch IRAs you're talking about, it sounds like they were a popular estate planning tool.
They really were. They're used by they were used by some individuals, not all, but Stretch IRAs started getting attention from the press and Congress during 2012 presidential election. During that election, through financial disclosures, it was made known that Mitt Romney had an IRA that was worth, I think, up to a little over $100 million, and this prompted many questions in both the media and in the Congress. Congress has investigated changing rules related to Stretch IRAs before, most notably during the Obama administration a few years back. This time, they've partnered those changes with others, and the bill became law. So now, and we'll get more into this, but now under the Secure Act, Tony, there is no more stretch for the non-spouse beneficiary. So kids, grandkids, they can't stretch the IRA. It has to be taken out over a period of time. And we'll get into that a little more, but that's, again, one of the more significant changes, I would say, as it relates to IRA and estate planning in the Secure Act. This is one of the changes, that the stretch option for non-spouse beneficiaries has to take the IRA out over a certain period of time.
Yeah. So it's kind of really doing away with that Stretch IRA option. But it's so funny you mentioned Mitt Romney had an IRA that was worth $102 million. If I had that money sitting in an IRA, Anthony, I don't know if you'd ever hear from me again. You
probably wouldn't be with us here today, would you, Tony?
No, I'd still do the show with you each week, Anthony. I love doing the show. That's actually fun. That's not work. But I might not do much more than just record the show once a week with you. That's for sure. So what are some of the other things that this Secure Act is changing?
Well, focusing again on the Stretch IRA, the Secure Act requires that RMDs, or required minimum distributions, take place within 10 years of the original account owner's death, and this would likely increase tax revenues due to those distributions, placing the beneficiaries in higher income tax brackets. So unlike the old rule where they could stretch the IRA over their life expectancy, and as we mentioned earlier, the younger you are, the better, because of the longer life expectancy. Now with the new rule, with the Secure Act, the beneficiary has to take it out, the IRA, once they inherit it, over a 10-year period after the owner's death. The Secure Act will make this change to so-called Stretch IRAs in order to create more tax revenue from those distributions. I mean, obviously, that's the point. More tax revenue is needed to make up for several of the other changes the Act makes. As detailed in the June 2019 CNBC article titled "The 5 Tips for the Advisor to Consider Before the Stretch IRA Dies Out." So they were talking about this in June of last year on CNBC and other articles and news sources as well. One new part of the Secure Act allows for small businesses to work together to sponsor a retirement plan for those employees through a plan called a multiple employer plan, or MEP. So these are some other changes that have taken place, and we'll dig a little deeper into the MEPs. But just to recap, the June article with CNBC talking about the 5 tips, if you will, for advisors to consider before the Stretch IRA dies out. I mean, the industry has been talking about this, a bit, of time ago. Before this act actually took place in December of last year. But Tony, I'll just like to take a minute and thank our listeners for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show. We do hold workshops and classes every month, so please call the office and enroll in one of our workshops. We do them at libraries. We have dinner events. I believe we're at Austin's in the month of February. It's a great meal and a great time we have. It's all educational. So we really hope you take advantage of that, and also take advantage of my special offer.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Kangemi with Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering our 3-step retirement planning process at no cost and a $100 gift card to the restaurant of your choice upon completion of the planning process. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to the Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Kangemi, and myself, your co-host, Tony Shore. Now, Anthony, in today's episode, you've been talking about some of these changes to the rules for our retirement accounts, including they're included in the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act. We're not going to say that a lot. We're just calling it the Secure Act, and that was signed into law in December. And in the first segment, we touched on how stretch IRAs are going to be impacted, basically doing away with the ability to stretch them across generations. And then just before the break, you mentioned multiple employer plans, and those can change. And I must admit that was the first time I learned about MEP or MEP sponsors. So my financial vocabulary is expanding as we speak. But how will the Secure Act impact these types of plans?
According to a blog from MassMutual.com, what the Secure Act could mean for business. The Secure Act allows more types of businesses to work together in an MEP. Before the Secure Act, businesses need to share common economic and representational interests. Now that businesses have more flexibility in who they partner with, they may be able to take advantage of lower costs and less red tape to offer retirement plans to their employees. Congress would also like to make it easier for these people to be admitted as well. The Secure Act directs the Department of Labor to simplify reporting for MEPs for plans that cover less than 1,000 employees. However, in order to qualify for this simplified reporting, each participating employer must have less than 100 employees in the plan. So if you work for a company that has less than 100 employees, the reporting has become much more simple. And again, it's going to allow the employer to offer benefits to employees that they may otherwise not have been able to offer.
Yeah, and that's the key right there. So are there any other changes to IRAs that we need to know about that the Secure Act is going to change?
The act also repeals the maximum contribution age of 70 and a half as long as the person still has earned income. Like the changes to required minimum distribution age, this is seen as an acknowledgement that people are living longer and working longer. There has been some criticism of this provision. Critics say that it mostly benefits those with significant tax-deferred savings. This could change. This change would allow them to grow this money for a large period of time. So you can contribute now past age 70 and a half if you still have earned income.
Oh, okay. Now they don't have that. It repealed the maximum contribution age. So you can put into a traditional IRA as long as you have earned income coming in. And the other thing is the 72, and I think you mentioned this earlier, but it kind of goes along with now you don't have to start taking distributions from your IRA until you turn 72. And that used to be 70 and a half as well. And these seem like beneficial changes.
Well, those are likely beneficial changes for some. If you plan on using your IRA as a Stretch IRA, you may want to look at other potential options to pass your legacy on. In the recent Barron's article we discussed earlier, they suggested one option may be to convert your IRA into a Roth. This would result in current tax consequences, but may provide future tax benefits for your beneficiaries. So now that we know that the non-spouse beneficiaries, like kids and grandkids, don't have the option to stretch the pre-tax dollars over their life expectancy, and that there is a 10-year payout, then it starts to beg the question, well, hey, what are tax rates going to look like down the road? And if they have to pull all this money out over a 10-year period, what kind of taxes are going to have to be paid? And does it make more sense to start looking at Roth conversions and paying a little bit on the taxes now, doing the conversion in the tax brackets that we're in now? Maybe taxes are on sale now. Maybe you're in an income bracket now that's better or more conducive to lower taxes than maybe your beneficiaries might be. So there might be some planning opportunities there to be looking at some Roth conversions strategically now to get this over into a more tax-favored account for future generations. Numbers could look real good. You have to do those conversions, and we have your tax return, and we run those conversion scenarios. But definitely something, certainly not to just overlook. This is certainly a planning technique and tools that we have that can certainly minimize taxes for future generations if done properly.
And this legislation seems like it changes a lot of things about IRAs.
Well, it certainly could, depending on your retirement strategy. I highly recommend that you review your current financial strategy with your financial services professional to see if there are changes that might need to impact you. Tony, in our retirement plans, we talk about the 5 keys to a stress-free retirement. We have a book published on Amazon, The 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. And those 5 keys are estate planning, healthcare planning, an investment strategy, income planning, and taxes. And that's a lot of times I think people, when they start thinking about retirement planning, they're focused on how much income they need in retirement. They're focused on, which is good, they're focused on their investments and their performance of their investments. And all of this obviously is a part of retirement planning. But the estate planning part and how things are going to pass on and the tax consequences, all of that is part of a retirement plan as well, that, under the estate planning part of it. So I would just say, if you think about retirement planning in a holistic view, which you should, you should be thinking estate planning, healthcare planning, investment strategy, income planning, and tax strategies. And that should all work together very harmoniously. And so, looking at one aspect of a retirement plan at the peril of the rest of it is not prudent. And so I would just encourage our listeners, if you're listening and you don't have a formal retirement plan, or you would like to see how make a comparison between what you're doing and what's out there, and looking and getting some ideas and getting some second opinion and a different viewpoint maybe. By all means, take advantage of this special offer.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Congemi of Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering a complimentary gourmet dinner and retirement planning workshop, The 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. This is one workshop you won't want to miss. Call in the next 20 minutes for this no-cost offer. Seating is limited. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi, and myself, your co-host, Tony Shore. And today we're talking about changes to IRAs due to the Secure Act recently being passed into law. And I know that in our final segment, you just wanted to say a few words about another type of change. And this one, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, Anthony, but it is important regarding your finance, and it happens so often, and that's a divorce. And so I think you wanted to talk about how to reconfigure your retirement strategy after going through a divorce.
So that's right, Tony. One of our sources for today is an article from the U.S. News and World Report from October 2019 titled, How to Retool Your Retirement Plan After a Divorce. And it's available at money.usnews.com. Again, the title of the report is How to Retool Your Retirement Plan After Divorce. And again, it's available at money.usnews.com. For many people, divorce causes major changes in most of the areas of their life. Retirement strategy is just one area that's impacted. Both individuals will need to adjust, but the one with less income will likely have to adjust more. Today, we'll look at a few steps in the U.S. News and World Report article suggests for making that adjustment.
All right. So what's the first suggestion there?
Well, one item that you may want to consider is the Qualified Domestic Relationships Order, QDRO, also known as QDRO, QDRO. This would be important if your former spouse or partner had an employer-sponsored retirement plan and you're entitled to a portion of it as part of your divorce agreement. So QDRO, and again I'll say Qualified Domestic Relationships Order, QDRO, QDRO, requires payouts to plan non-participants. These are often very complex and time-consuming. You may want to work with an attorney or an actuary, as retirement plans often have very specific requirements as to how they handle QDROs or how the QDROs are written. But this is something certainly that your financial advisor can help coordinate with the lawyer and the CPA to get, if you're involved in a divorce and part of that retirement plan is part of the agreement, which it, in Louisiana, it probably would be because we're a community property state.
Right.
So, everything's everything that was generated inside the marriage is a community property.
Yep.
So we just want to make sure that everybody gets their fair share. And QDRO is one way of making sure that that happens.
Right. So what can you do with the money that you receive through a QDRO?
Well, once you receive the money through QDRO, you can roll it into your own IRA or another retirement account. According to the August 2017 MarketWatch.com article entitled Getting Divorced, How to Avoid Tax Pitfalls When Splitting Up Your Retirement Account, using QDROs can be a valuable way to split up a retirement account. Using a QDRO allows the spouse receiving the money to roll it into a tax-free into an IRA. So it's a tax-free rollover, and it goes right into their IRA, and it's as if it's their own pre-tax. It is their own IRA.
Oh, that's great.
So the tax, implications of this using the Quadro is quite favorable, and just doing it right. So for our divorced clients or potential clients that may be considering a divorce, this is certainly part of the estate planning aspect and how things are going to be split up and doing it in the most tax efficient way.
Good to know about that. I didn't really understand Quadros before. Now, we're out of time for today's show, Anthony. It just flew by. Is there anything else you want to add for our listeners before we go?
Well, a couple of things. Our retirement workshops in February will be at Austin's Restaurant on February 18th and February the 20th. So please make a note of that. February 18th, February 20th at Austin's Restaurant in Metairie. By all means, call our office or register online, or call Katie or one of the ladies in the office at 504-828-2171. We also have our financial topic of the month, which will be on the Secure Act at the Jefferson Parish Library on February the 6th. At 6 p.m., which is a Thursday evening. And then we're also doing a Social Security and Tax workshop in AMEET at the AMEET Branch Library. So we have some, they're up on the North Shore for our North Shore office, so in AMEET. So anyway, we've got some workshops coming up. So by all means, give our office a call at 504-828-2171. Register for one of the workshops or take advantage of this special offer.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Anthony Congemi and Crescent City Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.